In the Pacific Ocean, 600 miles off the coast of Ecuador in South America, is the world's largest oceanic archipelago, the Galápagos Islands. The wildlife here draws people from around the world. Visitors to the island are strictly limited though, and with so few hotels, many sleep afloat and go ashore during the day. There are countless wonders: the small and very well camouflaged Galápagos penguin, and Sully Lightfoot crabs scuttle about everywhere. There are various species of iguana and huge brown pelicans. There are some rules to consider. Don't stray from the marked trails and don't touch or feed the animals. Let them come to you. What greets you here is perhaps the greatest wildlife show on Earth. For thousands of years, the largest creatures roaming these shores have been sea lions and reptiles. The late arrival of humans means that to this day, animals are unafraid of us. These islands have been described as a living laboratory, and there are species that you'll find nowhere else on the planet. One example is this white tip-reef shark, which, loving clear and shallow water, is easy to spot. You could search all four corners of the Earth and you'd never find iguanas like this marine species. These are the only iguanas that swim, dive and forage beneath the waves for algae and seaweed. They take in huge amounts of sea salt when they dive, which they sneeze out, leaving them with a white and salty crown. For many tourists, this is a dream destination. But Charles Darwin was a reluctant explorer whose place in history was secured literally by chance. Darwin, a 22-year-old failed medical student from Cambridge, was at a loose end and on the 27th of December 1831 embarked on a journey on board the HMS Beagle, assigning himself to 4 years at sea. So enthralled was he by the place, he described Galapagos as a world in itself. In 1859, his studies and findings were published in the groundbreaking book On the Origin of the Species. Tower Island and Darwin Bay, the islands together form the Galapagos National Park and Game Reserve. Not only is there a strict 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew, but also when on the islands you must always be accompanied by a naturalist from the Ministry of Tourism in Ecuador. 16 islands are inhabited. Puerto Ayora is the principal town on the island of Santa Cruz. And whilst the humans aren't what you come here to see, this is the port of entry for many of the visitors. If you're travelling independently, Puerto Ayora is the place to start. With agents all the way along the high street, you'll have little trouble booking a last-minute place on one of the cruises. Having spent 5 weeks here, Darwin eventually returned to the UK and never again left the country. And it's not hard to understand why. A trip to the Galapagos is pretty hard to top. Coming here is a once-in-a-lifetime experience, indeed, a world in itself.